Welcome to Doing Life Together, episode 51. It is Sonia Eckel, your host, and it's always so much fun to join you all. And tonight, I am going to go there. I'm going to go to a topic that unfortunately can be a divisive topic, which is never my goal. Actually, my goal of doing life together is that we can be real and we can talk about all the things, and we can sometimes just agree to disagree on various things. So tonight, the topic that's on my heart is women's roles, men's roles, gender roles, gender equality, and how do we navigate in the world today? So let's jump in. Let's talk about it. All right. So as a woman, I am all for women having equal pay opportunities and, work opportunities, things like that. And I know that in many cultures around the world, women have not been given equal opportunities in many cases. And of course, we know it wasn't all that long ago that women weren't allowed to vote and were treated like property and lots of different things. So interesting. Like I totally love that women are treated more equally. I don't know that everyone would say it's there yet, but I certainly feel that as a woman, I've been given equal opportunity. So that's really cool. And I know that much of my viewing audience, you are women. So I'm actually wanting your feedback tonight. I'm not coming with, oh, this is how it is, this is how it isn't. I'm just coming with conversation, and I hope you'll play along and chat with me, because how do you view men and women's roles? It's interesting because obviously I'm just me. Like I'm one small sliver representation of a woman, and different women are wired differently, for sure, for sure. And then I'm married to Willie. We're in our 24th year, so we're coming up on our anniversary in November. And so that's what I know. Like my little world, I'm raising 4 young men, and it turns out we're Caucasian. And so there's some things that I guess I'm just navigating in my head tonight. And I just thought, hey, let's talk about it. I don't have answers. I don't even have really a full out conversation, even. Just, I want to hear your thoughts. So, women, men, if I look at Willie and myself, his physical strength is way higher than mine, like no comparison. Now, he also enjoys lifting weights. He will run 5 to 6 miles when he feels like it. He says he kind of enjoys it, I guess. I don't know. And not me so much, right? I lift light weights, but I'm not pumping weights in the weight room. And so there's definitely a huge difference though in our strength. And we see it, like if we're doing something on the ranch, I let him do. I mean, I'm not opposed to hauling some 5-gallon buckets of water for the chickens or whatever, but there's a lot of things that honestly, I'm totally cool with him doing. And there's a lot of roles in our society that as a woman, I'm like, yeah, I'm cool with the guys doing that. I am not that if a woman desires to work in some of these male dominated careers that she shouldn't be able to, but isn't that interesting? I don't know. So, and then here's another interesting thing of navigating raising 4 boys, right? So we don't have any girls, we have all 4 boys. And in the world today, it's so interesting as I talk with my sons about even the dating scene. It's so interesting because, I mean, granted, I know that I still think I'm 25, but I'm actually not. now that my oldest is 21. The math is getting crazy. So admittedly, I'm not 25 anymore, but it just seems like, wow, has the dating scene changed that much? And when I think about dating, I guess I am pretty traditional. And again, this is just my personal 2 cents. It's nothing to say that you or anyone else needs to view the world the way I do. I'm just being authentic. And sometimes when we're authentic about taking one side, it doesn't always go well. But anyway, so I am kind of a traditionalist when it comes to like dating. Are you guys? I mean, I don't know. I'm like, maybe I'm off base here. So as I'm raising boys, I'm thinking if they're interested in a girl, like, is it the guy's move? Is it the guy who begins to make the moves? And I think in 2024 that it's probably not. But I'm still so old fashioned. I'm like, as a girl, that would be my preference. Like personally, as a girl, I would prefer it the traditional way. And does that make me old fashioned? What is that? And so then I say to my boys, like, be a gentleman and things like that. And they're like, well, mom, like some people don't want you opening doors for them. Like they're kind of offended, like that we have to be so careful. Or if we even say that someone looks nice, like you can really get smeared for if anything is just slightly over the edge of looking like, what was that? What do they call it? I'm sorry, I don't know all the terms. But was that too warm in here? I'm gonna take that off. So I feel like they're in a bit of a bind as young men in today's world. It's interesting. What do you guys see? Like seriously, am I the only mama out there who's like feeling bad that my sons who are definitely interested in pursuing relationships or whatever, but that they're feeling a little handcuffed, thinking, oh, but if I say that, then I could really be labeled something or another. I don't even know what you'd be labeled. So I'm curious if you're hearing this, for those of you who have young men in your life. Is this true, or is it just a misconception? Anyway, so interesting. And where do you stand on gender roles? Am I just truly old-fashioned? One thing I do, you guys know I come from my biblical Christian belief system. And one thing that I love about the Bible that honestly I think a lot of people miss is that Jesus blew all of those gender norms, women, men rights of the day, right? Like I do believe that women were highly considered more property and probably not have a lot of voice or a lot of say. And yet in the Bible, it seems to me that Jesus was like blowing that rule up, and it's interesting. It's cool. It's cool. I definitely think that I don't know if I'm using the right word, but equality as human beings and having equal voice, and that's super important. And then when you're talking about in a marriage, I think about what men are experiencing, primarily probably because I'm mom to 4 young men. And so I really see the world through their eyes. Like, what does that look like? What does marriage look like? What is the new, how you navigate the marriage roles? And Willie and I, like originally, when we were both working full time, he in engineering, me in physical therapy. And so we were a dual income family. kind of splitting all the household stuff. And then when my heart was to become an at-home mom, which was intense, like I really wanted to be home with this little being that was growing within me on that first, Jake was on the way. We didn't know boy or girl, but my heart was really strong. Like, oh, I cannot even imagine leaving him with someone else. Like I felt so drawn to be his caregiver, to be his primary caregiver. And so then we fell into, those traditional roles where Willie was working full time and we were living off his income. And I was really fulfilling more that home role more. So, I mean, we've always split it decently down the middle. And then, he was working a lot. And then Norwex came into my life. And for me, that was huge because although I am a bit of a homebody and, I recharge on my own time and all of that, I still love people. And as an at-home mom, that was something I didn't see coming. I didn't see that I would actually miss the community of the workplace. And so I, of course, just reestablished a different community. I got plugged into like-minded mamas, particularly natural parenting groups, which was awesome. It's so good to see you all. Hey, put a shout out in the comments where you're coming in from. I see that we've got lots of you representing. So anyway, super fun to see you all. And so then I became this at-home mom, but I craved a place to not only have community, but also my intellectual side of me. Like as much as I wanted to be an at-home mom, I still have this very intellectually, I think we all do. God gave us a brain for a reason. So then when Norwex came along, it really fit like a puzzle piece into this gap because it allowed me to still be an at-home mom and primarily do most of my business from home. But then I would go out and do demos and I would get to actually talk to other adults. And sometimes there was wine and cheese or brownies or whatever. It was just a social outlet. It was also a huge outpouring of my knowledge around wellness and just having a space and a place to share that. And so we were still in the traditional role where, oh my goodness, I know Tiana. So Tiana's saying, thank goodness for that natural mama community. Amen. And Tiana's one of my besties. And we actually connected. Ultimately, we both were in that naturally minded community, but she found me for natural childbirth classes. And at that point, she was expecting her first. I was expecting our second. And we just deeply connected and we've been awesome friends ever since. And the natural mama or natural parenting community, if you're not in that community, it really is incredible because it will open your eyes to more. Like you can only do so much research within the time you have yourself. And so surrounding yourself with a like-minded community is really huge. So I was an at-home mom doing my little demos, getting out, getting my fix of my entrepreneurship too, because I do have turns out God has somehow wired my brain for business. And it took me a long time to actually accept that because I think I had maybe a little stigma about a girl who would be all like have a business brain, and not in maybe the traditional ways, but in the very entrepreneurial sense of a brain, I have that. And I don't necessarily have like the spreadsheets, plan out the budget for 5 years. Whatever to some degree, but I have this business mind that it just doesn't stop. And so Norwex gave me a place to let that mind really flourish. And so I've really been grateful for that. And then there came the tipping point, and I know that a lot of families have experienced this as long as we're talking about gender roles. I promise you this is related. And the tipping point was I began to earn more income than I would have guessed or even intended when I started. Like it was more just almost an outlet. And hey, while I'm out using my brain and having community, I get to make money too. Yay. This is a win, 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 win. But what I didn't realize back then is actually what a real career direct sales actually is or can be if you choose to make it that. And so then we got to the point where, I was pretty serious about my Norwex business. And one of my goals had been to earn enough that Willie, whenever and if ever he wanted to just retire, he could. Like that was one of my goals. And I thought it was kind of one of his goals too, to be honest. Like I thought that's what he would want. And so worked really hard. And one day we got to that point where it was like, all right. And so Willie decided to stay home, retire, if you call it that, take a sabbatical, whatever. And then he homeschooled the boys. And some of you know our story. We jumped into homeschooling, and it was very atypical because typically in the homeschooling community, more traditionally, the mom is heading up a lot of the homeschooling. Not necessarily always, but it is, I think, slightly still more common. And in our case, it was the reverse. Willie took it on, and Willie is that person who's like uber organized. And, so that was kind of nice to have him heading that up. And in the process though, and I hope I didn't tell Willie what I was talking about tonight. He's used to me though. And he's probably like, oh goodness, where's she going with this? But in the process, I think Willie realized that his intellectual brain, like he has a phenomenal brain and totally different than mine, but just this engineering, I would call it very, very smart, intelligent brain. And him not being able to use that in his giftings wasn't perfect either, right? Like that was something I didn't see coming, because I think as humans, it's okay to recognize that some people might need more of that intellectual outlet than others. Anyway, but I'm thinking back to those early, the babies were young. I was baby wearing them in my sling wrap and breastfeeding and co-sleeping and making my own granola and brewing my own kombucha and hunting down raw milk, which is a story all to itself. Wow. So it was really a fun time of life because I was researching like a mad woman, because I suddenly have these human beings that my decisions are going to deeply or could potentially deeply impact them. And so I began to become a very avid researcher on a lot of fronts. And I'm really grateful to Willie for that period where he carried us with his job and his income, while I got to be this granola at home mom. And I mean, cloth diapering, you name it. That was how I parented. And honestly, I'm super grateful for it. Super grateful. I didn't do it all perfectly, for sure, for sure. You can ask my boys. I'm sure they would let you know. But being home like that as a mom was a huge privilege. It really was. And, maybe a traditional gender role. But anyway, super grateful for that. And then the roles kind of flipped, and Willie took a lot more on in the home and in the homeschooling and things like that, which allowed me to go full out in my Norwex roles and traveling, speaking, doing different things. And now here we are. I mean, like I said, we're coming up on 24 years of marriage, and there's, finding a balance, right? So Willie is actually doing engineering, which he's so gifted. It's probably good that he's there, and we both get to work from home though. So it's really been such a sweetness. And of course, those of you who follow me know that we have the ranch, which we don't live at the ranch, although I kind of live at the ranch. I'm out here a lot. But anyway, I've claimed it as my home office. It's great. So gender roles, how does that look? How have you navigated it? And here's a question for you too. In the marriage, now I'm not a marriage expert whatsoever, and I know some of you might be marriage coaches, counselors, or something like that. But for the marriage, like if I am in support of more traditional dating, and that might just be because that's like legit, it's not even a stance. It's just a preference, right? But anyway, so in a marriage, like, how do you keep the spark? Do you date your spouse? Who does the planning? Do you alternate? Like, if you're planning something fun, what have you found that makes a marriage really work well and stay super inspired and fun and romantic and all the things that I think everybody who gets married is like, this is what I want, is I want a super connected, keep the fire burning, keep that flame, whatever. So yeah, well, there you go. This is just more questions for y'all. And I would love very much for you to weigh in on the comments if you have any thoughts. So, and also if you're raising boys, like, how do you guide them in a world where I honestly think girls maybe haven't changed that much, really? I would think a girl still would appreciate being talked to by a guy, I mean, is it bad to tell a girl like, "Hey, you look good"? I mean, what? I don't even know. Like, I'm like, am I so old-fashioned that you can't say that to a girl anymore as a young man without her going, "Oh, he's like chasing me or being offensive, whatever"? I don't think so. What do you guys think? Is that really offensive in 2024? I don't know. I'm just curious to hear your thoughts more than anything. All right, so here's the deal. I'm going to wrap it up for tonight. There is something I am so excited about. I cannot wait to spill the beans on this, but I can't yet. So just know, click the follow button. There's something so fun that I'm going to get to share with you, and I'm so excited. And I know it's going to bless you at just amazing levels. So stay tuned. That is a little teaser. I know I can't tell you yet, but it is coming, and probably later this month, I'm going to be able to give you all the details, and it is amazing. So, and then lastly, I'll do a little Norwex plug here. If you are looking for a side income, another stream of income, maybe you're like me 21 years ago, and maybe you want to be home with your kiddos, and that could be for men and women. Like, now it's more and more common that both people get to work from home. Like, there's options, which is super awesome. But if you're looking for something that would be a good fit, that aligns with your mission, your purpose, your core values, I have definitely found Norwex to be an amazing fit. And they're doing a join for free this month, where literally you get some sets of samples so that you can lend it out to friends and family who don't have them yet for $10 shipping, $9.99 or something shipping. And you get full consultant privileges, which means you have the full earning potential, just like I did when I started 15 years ago. And I would love to partner with you. Now, one more thing, I am doing private coaching for direct sellers, network marketers, and I also do have some speakers and coaches, because I not only teach within the direct selling arena, but I teach just like solid business stuff. So if you know someone who might be looking for a mentor who they're aligned with, who is doing what they preach, and has proven it with results, and I come from a Christian viewpoint, so for some people that's not a great fit, but if it's a good fit for you, let me know, and I can certainly get you some info on my mentorship membership. And it's so awesome, and it just continues to grow even more. So really loving that piece as well. And then as a member of my Norwex team, you automatically also have access to my coaching on a weekly basis. That's one of the perks of being a member of what we call the Planet Green team. So that's a little Norwex plug there for y'all. All right. Thanks for joining me. Good to see you all. I'm going to get to see some of you in Phoenix shortly here. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And we'll catch you guys soon. Enjoy the rest of your week. God bless you.